Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of The Surfer's Journey. Today's episode is all about the trials and the tribulations of a beginner surfer. And there are so many mistakes that beginner surfers make, which is fine because that's how you have to learn. But if we can understand why we make those mistakes, you can fix them faster when they happen. And guys, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe now so you can stay up to date with all of my latest videos and tutorials. And remember that you can also follow us on Instagram at The Surfer's Journey. But for now, let's get into today's lesson of the week. One of the first decisions, and potentially one of the most important decisions that you'll make as a beginner surfer, is what kind of board you've chosen to learn how to surf on. And once you've chosen that board, make sure that you put plenty of wax on it. It's a common thing to forget, and I always recommend that beginners go for the longest, widest, thickest board that they can find, foam or fiberglass. Another thing to remember is that we need to choose appropriate beach to learn at. So a beach that has a sand bottom with slow, gentle waves like this, which provide us with the opportunity to be waist deep and catch foamy whitewater waves, will help you learn how to surf while being safe and comfortable. Your position on the surfboard when you're paddling around trying to catch waves or get into position will play a massive part in if you can even actually take off. You can see in this example that because my friend was too far forward, she nosedived and lost her balance. You can also see that the board's tipped to the right, which means that her weight wasn't centered. Another thing that can happen when you're paddling is if you're too far back on the board, you can see the nose will be up high like this. With all the weight at the back of the board, it's almost impossible to catch a wave and ride it. So make sure that when you're paddling or standing, that your weight is evenly distributed. You can see that the center of a board has a stringer. You want that to go straight through the middle of your feet. And if your board doesn't have a stringer because it's a foam board, you can use wax to draw a line down the middle from nose to tail. Let's have a quick look at how to pop up. Once you know that you've paddled hard enough and the wave's now picking you up, you put your hands underneath your chest. You lift your chest up and then you pop your feet through in one smooth motion. This obviously takes some practice to get right, but it's the best way. If you choose to perform a two-stage takeoff where you go knees first then feet first, it's certainly possible, but it develops bad habits and it makes it harder for you. So try your best to do it in one smooth motion. Now, wave selection is a crucial skill even for the beginner surfer. If you paddle for a wave that's too small and too weak, it won't be able to pick you up and push you along. If you paddle for a wave that's too steep early on, you might nosedive because it's much harder. So we need to find the perfect balance between the two. And this is one of those things that has to be learned through experience and time in the water. Now, while performing a pop-up, beginner surfers often put their feet in the wrong place. You can see here that my friend's actually got her front foot facing straight ahead, when really we want our feet to be about 45-degree angles in the middle of the board. We want that stringer to go straight through our feet. If our feet land and they're off center, the board will tilt. You can see here that the board's dipping to the left. Because her foot's not centered, it's making the board rotate. In this example here, you can see that my friend's foot was straight ahead once again. You need to have that foot on a 45-degree angle. If your feet are facing straight ahead, there is no way you can control that board moving. But with your feet like this, on that 45-degree angle, you can see that you can change that weight distribution by going heel to toe and vice versa. Once my friend started to make her pop-ups faster and more explosive, her success rate skyrocketed. And this was a big point of difference. You have to make it explosive. It cannot be done slowly. In session 2, we decided to mix up the board selection and we upgraded to an 8-foot longboard. This board had more buoyancy, more volume and more surface area, which equaled more stability and easier paddling power. And you can see the results spoke for themselves and that it made her life a lot easier. For beginner surfers, you don't need to be sitting out the back. You can be in waist deep water just like that, and when you see the wave coming, do what my friend did. Jump on your board with enough time to get into position, paddle hard, and catch that wave. It's so much easier, and you'll find that you'll get your wave count much higher this way. It's a lot harder and a lot more fatiguing to catch waves out the back. So it's worth spending time in the shallows, getting as much practice as you can, and mastering the fundamental skills of paddling and popping up before you venture out the back. If we compare these waves to the waves that my friend had on the foamy, you can see that she catches these waves much easier, and once she's actually up and riding, the wave keeps pushing her for longer. This board's heavier and more buoyant, like I said, and it makes the process a lot easier. So always go longer, thicker, and wider than you think you need to. You can always downsize in the future.
In surf session number 3, I had 2 of my other friends out in the water with me, and you can see that they displayed a whole range of other trials and tribulations relevant to the beginner surfer. So let's have a look at some of those now.
My mate does a couple of things really well. He paddles hard and he paddles fast, which means he catches waves easily. And when he goes for his pop-up, he does it fast and explosively, which like I mentioned earlier is really important. You can see that he gets to a position where he's up and riding. Now there's a few things that could be better here. His feet could be slightly wider and his weight could be slightly more forward. That would have brought the nose down and kept his momentum going forward. But because his weight was too far back, the wave kept going and he fell off the back. If we have a look at this example of my other mate here, you'll see that when she's up and riding, her board actually sits flat in the water, which is a good indicator that her weight is centered and that she's in the perfect spot, not too far forward or not too far back. And once again, this takes time and practice to get right. When popping up, you want to make sure that your feet are in the perfect position possible, even if that means you have to do a slight adjustment when you're getting to your feet. You can see in this example that my mate's feet are too close together and they're not centered. And you can see that board's already tilting to the side and he loses his balance. These are some of the most common mistakes that I see, but the good news is that the solutions to fixing them are quite easy.
Guys, thanks for watching the video today. I hope that now you understand what some of those common mistakes are and you know how to identify them and fix them if you're making them. Remember to like the video and comment below to let me know what other videos you'd like to see. And also please share with me some of the trials and tribulations that you have when you go surfing. Thanks guys, I'll catch you in the water.
The Surfer's Journey now has a range of apparel available, from beanies to t-shirts to hats and coffee cups. For more information on how you can place your order, email thesurfersjourney@gmail.com. Be sure to visit The Surfer's Journey and check out some of our other videos, surfing tutorials from point of view, from the air and from the beach, and detailed, honest board reviews. You can also follow us on Instagram where we post hints and tips.